Welcome to this week's episode of the Lads Film Thing podcast, where four friends discuss a film and generally have a good time. And be warned, there will be spoilers. So you've got Lucy.
Hi.
Abby.
Hey there.
Dan.
Hi.
And me, Sam. So Dan, this week was your film choice.
Yes, indeed. This week's film is Amsterdam, which is a political drama set in 1933 that centres around the friendship of three Americans who become friends while in Europe during World War One. The film has a very extensive cast and some amazing actors, and also Taylor Swift. I really liked how it starts on exploring their friendship and then develops further in the film. I just mean that Taylor Swift's not really an actor, is she? But this is like one of her first things.
Anyway, let's not offend Taylor Swift.
We need to talk about this immediately. This can be point A on the list. Yeah. Taylor Swift is amazing.
I didn't say I didn't like it.
No, I know,
She's not the strongest actor in the film.
No, but considering her performance in Cats, this was also amazing.
Didn't know she was in Cats.
She was in Cats.
You shouldn't know anyone who's in Cats.
We don't. We haven't seen it.
It will not feature on the podcast.
Or will it?
No.
Or will it though?
Veto.
But yeah, oh.
You know, three lads doing a veto. That beats one.
Yeah, this is true. No, Cats was weird generally, and she wasn't that great. But in this, I thought she was really good.
She was okay.
Yeah, I was really chuffed. And I was chuffed for her. Her acting game up a bit.
Do you think they perhaps killed her early just in case her acting didn't hold strong? Because it did cross my mind watching this film. Like, she was doing okay, but they were rolling the dice every time.
They didn't give her too much to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I think it was a risk. But I think it paid off. I liked it. I liked it. She was in it.
Yeah, and she had a singing bit, didn't she?
She did.
Did she?
So I guess that's why she was there.
When she's falling.
No, when she was singing.
But it is funny because I always think with these things, do they put the singers in the roles where there might be singing?
Yes.
Or do they cast the character and be like, oh, let's put a little bit of singing in because you're Taylor Swift?
Okay.
Because Mandy Moore, if you're listening, you're my favourite and I love you and everything. And you do have a singing role in everything you're in too. Speaking directly to you, Mandy Moore.
She's
That's not true, though.
for sure.
Go on.
Because I recently discovered she's in Princess Diaries and she does not sing.
Oh, yeah, true. But still, the balance is. I mean, Sheriff Callie. That's amazing.
Yeah, but I would say she's primarily a singer.
Oh yeah. Not these days.
And then she's like, okay, so she is maybe an equal singer actor,
Yes.
whereas Taylor Swift is like a soul singer with a teeny bit of acting.
She's a soul singer. I'd say she's not pop.
Pop singer. Yeah, but yes,
you
I
know
agree.
what I mean?
Yes, I agree.
With like a little bit of acting.
Yeah. I always think that with Mandy Moore. I'm like, because I'm always thinking of Mandy Moore whenever she's in a role, and then and like there's a lot in This Is Us. There's a lot of singing bits. Rapunzel.
Yeah, I don't
a lot
feel
of
like
songs.
Rebecca in This Is Us would be a singer if she wasn't played by Mandy Moore.
Yeah. So did they throw that song in for Taylor Swift because they're like, come on, we've got Taylor Swift here. Get her some get her singing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I reckon that way around. Taylor, if you're listening, tell us swiftly.
Dad joke.
Oh my god.
It's not like you to come up with a dad joke.
I know.
Okay, so the film starts on Bert Berenson, a medical doctor who focuses on treating war veterans. He's played by Christian Bale.
And, sorry to immediately interrupt,
Okay.
how amazing is Christian Bale? No, not really. How amazing is Christian Bale?
Yes, agreed.
Really good in this.
Yeah.
Amazing actor. He looks so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and his mannerisms and acting.
Yeah.
He's really different.
I always think this, and I think I said it about Brad Pitt, where I'm like, I don't get sometimes why big actors are big. And then you see something that they do, and you're like, this is why, because you're actually amazing at acting.
Yeah, and then we tell you a list of all the amazing films they've been in. They've done a really good job. That happened with Brad Pitt, didn't it?
Yeah.
Feel free.
The Dark Knight.
Batman Begins was also good.
I just meant the trilogy. He's in all three of them and he's great, I think.
Yeah, but then so that's probably the first thing I saw Christian Bale in that I can remember. And I didn't like him for a long time because of it. Because
American Psycho, he's good.
He's really
good. Yeah, but I didn't watch that until way after because we only recently watched that, didn't we? And I hadn't seen it before. But I went a good few years not liking Christian Bale until I saw him in Thor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
when I didn't actually realise that was him for a long time
Yeah.
in the movie until
He
you
was
told
really
me, I
good in
think.
that.
Yeah, and I started to, and then the same for this. I was like, I wouldn't have recognised him if, like, as the same guy from Batman, if I didn't know it was him.
And
Yeah.
also in The Prestige,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
not The Illusionist.
No.
Two exactly the same films that came out in like the same year.
Yeah.
That was weird, didn't it?
It was weird.
Weird time for magician type films.
That was when that fella was
Yeah.
in that box over the Thames, though, wasn't
Which one was it?
David Blaine.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was David Blaine, yeah. Not
Badil.
I didn't make that joke.
David Baddiel.
Skinner could not have done without him for that long.
No. He'd have been there, wouldn't he? He'd just be next
What, in
to
the
him.
box as well?
No, yeah, but just there, rooting him on from the side.
Rooting him on.
Cheering him on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Go on, David Baddiel, you can do it.
I'm sure, as with all of us, he calls his friends both the first and last name.
That's right.
Go David Baddiel.
I was about to call you by your actual name.
This is top secret.
Cut. Jinx. No more dad jokes. Okay, so there's a bit of an opening montage of him doing his everyday life, and then he's asked to perform an autopsy by his friend Harold Woodman, who's played by John David Washington. The autopsy is on a person called Bill Meekins, who is someone they both know from the war. So
Quiet and Still.
Bill Quiet and Still Meekins. Yes, that's his name. Yeah, weird nickname, Quiet and Still,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it works, I guess.
And weirdly, he
Definitely
was...
when he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Stan Sitwell, wasn't he? That's all I could think from Arrested Development.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he had... Did he have alopecia and his eyebrows kept falling off and things?
Yeah. Yeah. So they perform the autopsy and find out that he's poisoned. So they go back to tell Bill and Meekins' daughter, Taylor Swift.
Sorry, I need to immediately interrupt, obviously, again.
That's a hat trick from you.
No, but it's really important stuff.
I'm sure it is.
Because Irma, she's one of the best characters in the whole thing.
She is.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She had some of the best lines, and she had one of the best lines when they were doing the autopsy.
Zoe Sultana.
Almost. And she said, "You were left without a chair when the music ends, even in your own home." And I was like, I have no idea what you're saying any of the time, but it's just every sentence she said was like poetry, and I loved it.
You should try and work that into your life at some point over the next few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then come back and tell us on the next
Yeah,
weeks.
I'll feedback.
That's your homework.
Okay.
And your homework for the listeners at home.
Please send us a tweet and tell us how you got "You were left without a chair when the music ends" into your working days.
So they go and tell Elizabeth Meekins, Taylor Swift, and in all of the commotion of her trying to leave a restaurant, she's pushed underneath a moving truck and dies by a hitman. They then realise they've got themselves into something deep and find themselves on the run, trying to clear their name.
Yes. His eye comes out.
His eye falls out.
Oh,
His
yeah.
eye falls out a good few times as well.
And he has to pick it up and put it
Not
in.
the best.
Just blow it off.
Yeah.
That's kind of like slapstick humour that's not
Yeah.
in it much, but it is funny.
Well, and it leads to some really adorable moments, doesn't it? Like when him and Harold they go back to his house and he's like putting it in and he's trying to look good for his wife and he's like, is it straight? Is it straight? And the other guy's like
helps
trying to
him,
sort
doesn't
him
he?
out and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's so adorable
Yeah.
and disgusting. But I would help any of you put in your full size.
Ah.
That is incorrect. I don't know why I said that. I would definitely say if they're pointing in a weird way though. Whether you ask me or not.
Cheers. Take that.
Cool. So they're running away from the police, who think that they are the ones that pushed Elizabeth Meekins under the bus because that's what the hitman said. And then there's like a record scratch freeze frame moment where Burt Berenson is then like, "You're probably wondering how I got here," and then it flashes back to him going to the war and being put in charge of this regiment. Is that the right word? Which is actually where he meets Harold, and they become friends.
I love that bit with his wife's family where they're like, you need to go join the war to get like some good credentials. And he's like, but I could die. It's just like, yeah, we thought about that. It's fine. Like, you go ahead.
It'll be glorious. It'll be good for the family or something. Yeah, it's awful.
But when he met Harold, I was like, yes, this is going to be good.
It's a really good first meeting.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Do you know, I literally wrote down what a really good first meeting.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I just loved it. And, you can tell from that moment. Obviously, anyway, because they're still friends however many years like later the first bit was. But, yeah, you just knew it was a bromance in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I have got a drinking game for any listeners at home, which is, I'm sure that we all have stuff that we say and do all the time that you have to take a shot during. So this is Abby's fact section, and that definitely involves a massive glug of something, which is that the 369th Regiment was an African American regiment, and the US did actually do what they said in the film and not allow black and white soldiers to be together in the same regiment.
And did they make them wear French
and made
uniforms?
them more French uniforms. And so there was a whole group, and it was amazing. I thought I'd written down the name, but I think they were called the Harlem Hellfighters. They were like just some of the best fighters that there were in the whole war. The Germans were petrified of them.
Really?
And they were given like French medals of honour and stuff.
Wow.
For fuck's sake. Really?
Yeah.
People of history just do better.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's a good
There you
fact.
go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a sad fact.
Yeah, that's sad.
They're always sad, Ab.
Yeah.
Next time, can you find some heartwarming facts, please, about the war?
I will try.
When you were going to say it's a drinking game, I thought you were going to say it's when Luce enjoys a bromance or
Yeah. Well, so that's one. Definitely write that down. So when Luce says something is adorable,
Okay, yeah.
but you'll be fucking wasted immediately.
But anyway, so they're in the war, and then it's pretty soon that they both suffer some pretty gruesome injuries, and they get taken to a medic bay, where they're then treated by Valerie Vandenberg, who is Margot Robbie. And
Barbie.
Barbie.
It took me like a whole film to be like,
Really?
that's Barbie.
Yeah.
If only we'd done... Right, we do need to do the Barbie movie at some point. If only we'd started this earlier, we would have done the Barbie movie.
We
But-
still haven't seen it because our daughter won't let us.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can add that to the list, the future list. But you won't be surprised to know, I love her.
Hey.
She's amazing. And she was so cool because she was speaking French and fixing everyone up and doing all that arty stuff.
She's good in this film.
Really good.
Yeah. So they become friends pretty quickly. And it's an adorable friendship, the three of them, isn't it? And obviously her and Harold actually become like romantically involved, but it kind of doesn't mean that Bert becomes a third wheel. They're still just
It's a really good like triangle, isn't it?
good friendship.
Yeah.
Can we just also mention quickly about how she's keeping all the shrapnel from their body?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like, oh, she's making art. And I was like, no. It's like, even if things are adorable, they can be weird and disgusting.
It can be really
Can't they?
disgusting, but still interesting and have some value.
Yeah, I liked
to
it.
them.
She was making like something
Um,
nice out of
Shall I
something
make
horrible.
you one?
Yeah, you can take all the shrapnel from my body and make whatever you like.
But I did think, so I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm sure you did, in the art that it was flicking through that she'd done, that like 3-layer like picture where it was like each of the 3 friends all layered up on one another to make one face. So we're a 40.
Maybe we should do that.
We could amalgamate our faces to make some sort of really weird art project.
We could do that.
And put it in your guy's house.
Yeah, sorry, we're a bit full of
So,
stuff.
well, I mean, I've done it and it's wrapped and ready for Christmas Day.
You would accept it.
So after this, they decide to all go to Amsterdam. They're already living in Europe, obviously, because of the war, and then they go across to Amsterdam. I think it's because like she knows someone who can help with like prosthetics and like
It was, yeah, for the eye and stuff.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I love this part of the film. It's just really lovely they're just being friends, and it just shows how their friendship develops and them just having a great time. Really.
And they get to meet the best character of the whole film, who is Paul Canterbury.
Yes.
Played by Mike Myers, who is amazing.
Yeah,
Yes,
he was
Mike
so
Myers,
good.
yeah.
Just makes you instantly think, why is he not in more films?
Yeah.
Because he is so good.
Yeah, but he just confused me so much in like a good way, like an interesting way. Because for a start, he was looking much younger in this. This is the first you see him, and he looks really young. So I was thinking, okay, we must see him again later when he looks regular, because why would they bother?
Yeah.
And he had such a really, really good English accent. It's like, why would you pick an American actor to play that role? Although he was so good at it. And I was like, yes, this works very well.
Yeah. But wasn't Mike Myers, was he born in Liverpool or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Ah,
Yes, he did go to a Liverpool school, I think.
really?
He did.
Yeah.
That's 2 facts.
I know,
but
the
then-
same
Yeah.
Liverpool
Yeah.
school at the same time as my dad.
No.
No, I think you're getting confused with him and George Clooney.
I actually am.
Easily done.
Wait, your
Is
dad went
it-
to school with George
No,
Clooney
not
or
the
Mike
actual
Myers?
George Clooney, just someone called George Clooney.
No, this isn't true.
No, I think it is.
No, it isn't. So George Clooney's George Clooney's aunt is Rosemary Clooney, and she lived in Liverpool.
Oh.
And he did something like spent like
I don't
a year living with her or something, and went to my dad's school
Oh, I see.
at the time. They were like 6 years old. They literally had no
Oh,
idea. He
I
was just some weird
see.
American kid.
Ah.
I might have made all of this up. Or dad, to be fair, my dad might have made this up as like a semi-brag, I guess.
I aim high. Yeah.
Don't know.
Wait, so hang on, where does Mike Myers fit into this?
Oh, yeah, I've got a feeling, I mean,
He doesn't.
he was born in England.
Okay.
He has a very good English accent. He also does Shrek, which is a very good Scottish accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard him do a Liverpudlian accent.
He does a lot of different accents in Austin Powers trilogy.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And I haven't seen him in Brookside so far.
Mm.
I'm only on 1984.
And to be fair,
still.
all
Yeah.
Scousers have to be in Brookside. Again, another claim to fame. Obviously, my dad was.
What, in Brookside? Oh, have
He
he?
wasn't.
Oh.
To start with, he's not even American, he's Canadian.
Damn it.
Oh,
yeah.
apologies.
Apologies, Canada.
And Mike Myers.
His parents were English immigrants from Liverpool.
You're welcome.
What I really liked was his friendship with Henry Norcross, played by
Yes.
Michael Shannon, who for the first time in cinematic history is a nice guy.
Yes.
Like after
Yeah.
he's General Zod in the DC universe
Yeah.
and the horrible police guy in The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Like really nice
Yeah,
to see him
such
playing a
problem.
nice guy and like doing it really well.
And I kind of
Yeah.
presume that he would be bad at some point. And then
Yeah.
he just never is. And
Yeah,
you're like, oh,
yeah.
you're adorable
Yeah,
still.
you want to watch it again with the safety of knowing he stays nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair though, he has got one of those faces that looks like he's going to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Even when
Yeah.
he's not, you think, it's the eyebrows, I think. He's got like inward facing eyebrows.
He looks like he's from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
As well, I mean, I feel like the listeners have lost out on an opportunity here to drink because Lucy hasn't said it's adorable. The nonsense
will.
song.
Oh, yeah. I can remember where that came in. That
Yeah.
was really good.
So they do that when they first meet. Do you remember they're pouring out a drink and he asks her, what do you keep the shrapnel for? And she says, oh, if I tell you, you have to trade it.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, nothing
And
can
he's
Yeah.
like, oh, we've got nothing to give you. And then
And then Bert just turns up. That's like the first bit. And she says like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll never pour 2 drinks without pouring a third or something, which is so
Oh.
adorable.
That's really nice.
That's-
line.
Yeah.
I too will never pour 2 drinks without pouring a third.
And a fourth.
I've had enough.
Yeah, I did love it. That was really
Yeah.
good.
I literally wrote down, it's an adorable part for Lucy.
Thank you. Yes.
The
Love
nonsense
it.
song. Yeah, I love that.
Also, I thought there was something really weird about, like, everything that was happening kind of felt normal, but in the extreme abnormality of, like, being at war and having all of that shrapnel in your body.
Yeah.
And made me think sometimes it's like that, even when you just go on holiday or whatever, isn't it? Or, don't know, you've just had a baby and the weirdest things are happening. And it's like you're a bit spaced and weird.
Yeah, it did seem like they were in their own little world a little
Yeah.
bit. Like, well, and there must have been tons of those sort of situations all over the place. Like,
Yeah.
the war is happening out there, but at the moment in this little pocket of time, in this little space, we're fine and having a great time.
And you have to be somewhat normal to survive.
Yeah.
So after a while of them being in Amsterdam, Bert decides he needs to go back home and see his wife, who's actually a really awful person.
I hate her.
Yeah.
Really weird dynamic, isn't it? Sometimes she's got flickers of like actually caring about him, but then she's just the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but it seemed like she was like very much under her parents' thumb. If that is the right phrase.
True choice, though, I think.
I don't know.
It was like a Stockholm syndrome. She got so used to like it that she liked it in the end.
Yeah, but it was. If she was a very annoying character, because you wanted to be like, just say what you want to say and do what you want to do. Like, don't just follow your parents along. Just go whatever with whatever.
As soon
they
as you
want.
met Irma, you're like, no, we're backing that horse now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when he gets there, though, he actually is pretty much just kicked out straight away, and he has to find somewhere else to live separately, doesn't he? Which is really crap. Especially because he's just come back from the war that they told him to go to in the first place, and he half died.
And he says that, doesn't he? He's like, I wouldn't even know these people if you hadn't made me go to war.
Yeah.
And then it's at this point it flicks from 1918 back to 1933, which is the present day part of the film, where Bert and Harold are on the run again. They're looking for a way to clear their name and to try and find out what happened to Bill Meekins. And it's actually Bert's wife that recommends they go and speak to Tom Vose, who's Rami Malek, who has some credibility in the community and can vouch for them.
Also, another great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good in that part, just like...
Really good at being a bit creepy, isn't he?
Yeah, Mr. Robot, he was like that, wasn't he? Just like, you kind of liked him, you wanted the best for him, but you were like, scaring me a bit. I don't know what's happening.
And he's the latest Bond villain, isn't he? On
Really?
Really good. Like,
spoiler.
Well, I think the time has passed.
So they go and find Tom Vose, and they're surprised to find that Valerie is also in his house. And at this point, Harold and Bert have not actually heard from Valerie in 10 years. Tom Vose recommends that Bill and Harold find someone called Gil Dillenbeck, who...
And he also says, I don't trust a man who doesn't like a drink, particularly at a time like this. I don't know what that time was, but I don't trust a man who doesn't like a drink either.
Just after the war, I guess.
I think when like so much commotion and stuff is going on.
I thought it was pretty obvious that Margot Robbie was being drugged at that point. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden she's like ill, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just come out of nowhere, and it's just affects her balance, and it was like these like really like weak, crappy symptoms, and I was thinking, So at this point, I just felt it got a bit. There was more to it, more than what's happening. Because it's like, Plus, who's that woman that you like?
Anya Taylor-Joy as Libby Vose. She was an amazing, horrible person.
Yeah.
Like, she is not as nice as Princess Peach.
No.
But I don't see that in very similar character in Peaky Blinders. She does that really good kind of like the mean wife kind of girlfriend figure really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome in this.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it was quite good because it didn't give anything away, but she wasn't nice to begin with, and then she still ends up being the bad guy anyway. So it was quite a nice character to see. Like, you weren't sure, and then you were like, yeah, you are bad.
Yeah.
So.
But enjoyably bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tom Vose recommends that Bill and Harold find someone called Gil Dillenbeck, who is like a figurehead for like veterans, American veterans after the war. He can help them clear their name and also help uncover who might be behind the poisoning of Bill Meekins. And then after reconnecting, Harold and Valerie spend more time together at her home, but they notice the person who pushed Elizabeth Meekins under the truck is watching the house. So they follow him and end up at a forced sterilisation clinic, which appears to be run by a mysterious organisation called the Committee of the Five.
Yes.
No, so I was just going to pause and give you some like fun facts about forced sterilisation, if you're all up for that.
Are they fun facts?
No, it wasn't really. Carry on.
Okay.
But it actually did happen. It's terrible. I feel like we should know that.
When that bit came along, I was like, am I understanding this right? Is this actually what I think it is? It's so weird and so sad. I didn't know those things existed.
It did.
So why? Yeah, because I didn't understand why it was a forced sterilisation clinic. Was it just for black people, or was it for... Who was it for? Because obviously now at the end of the film, you know that Committee of the Five is like a secret cabal going to overthrow the US government and stuff. But why were they sterilising people?
Because I think that they had a lot of links with Nazi Germany, didn't they? Like that was a lot of the point of what they did. So it happened a lot.
Like population, didn't it?
Yeah, it happened a lot in Nazi Germany.
Did it?
That's Nazi Germany for those at home.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And why did they do that?
Well, because they thought that certain groups of people
shouldn't reproduce.
Right.
And so it was people with learning disabilities, people with physical disabilities, black people, Jewish people.
Oh,
It was a
awful.
thing that they experimented with. But even up until like the 70s, it was a thing that was kind of happening in America.
No.
America?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's scary.
See, you did have some fun facts.
I did have a way to bring you all down in the middle of a fun film.
So after this, Valerie takes them all to meet the two British spies that they've met before, and they tell them the Committee of the Five is a secret group.
Are they both British or is one American?
One is definitely American
I thought it
in
was
that
nice.
he is
Oh, apologies.
It's
What all
okay.
around?
I thought it was like CIA.
MI5 and
yeah.
CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But they are both bird fanatics.
They are.
Or at least that's their undercover guys, isn't it? I don't know if they actually are or they aren't.
I feel like they are.
I think it's the status thing, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
in that film.
Yeah. Yeah. But they...
Sorry to correct you.
No, no.
No, you're not.
Please. Jump in, anyone wants to correct me, and for you at home, anyone needs to correct me, you can do that in the comments or on social media. So the two spies tell them that the Committee of the Five has got links to Nazi Germany and they're trying to overthrow the US government. They hear about how the trio are already trying to meet with Gil Dillenbeck and reckon that he can help them foil the plot.
It's really weird that it's the five, because I know it comes later. They only show 4 of them. And that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And when they did the picture of the 5, it's 3.
Yeah. No,
That was upsetting.
Those pictures were people they were like fanatics of, wasn't it? When those pictures like Hitler and everything.
No, you know when they had them they were in that back room, there's like an actual shot where it says, where they're talking and they're like, this is the 5. And then there's a picture of the 3 of them. Like with their arms around each other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but is that because that's at the point where you don't know that it's going to be Tom Vose involved? So you don't actually know how many of them there are?
Possibly.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But still, it's saying 5 and there's 3. It's upsetting.
Yeah.
Well, it's just mystery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 3 of them do end up meeting with Gil Dillenbeck, who tells them he'd also had contact with the Committee of the Five, and they've been trying to get him to be the leader of their movement so that they can install him in the government.
As a dictator.
As a dictator, yes.
Yeah.
That's really weird, that bit in his house. And Robert De Niro is amazing, but the guy is just there from representing the 5 with a briefcase of money. And she said he's there every week or something to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, when do you give up? It's really weird.
Well,
that's just his job, isn't it? He's probably getting paid to do it.
like when you're trying to install a dictator, you can't give up. You have to just keep going.
Yeah.
True.
Needs must.
Yeah.
It seemed a bit
I know what you mean.
convenient for the plot that he was just in the house at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But that bit's really good because that's the other point when they do the nonsense song. Because
Oh, yeah.
he's like, they're like, we met you, Gil Dillenbeck, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, how do I know it's you?
Yeah.
I remember you sung a song and then you need to sing that song to me and I'll know it's you. And then they have to sing the nonsense song again.
La Pamplemousse.
Yeah. And it's a lot more polished than it is the first time they sing.
Yeah.
So they've obviously been practicing it over the years, which is so nice.
That's really good.
And there's another really good bit before that where she's got her vertigo and they help her walk up the stairs,
Oh, yes, yeah.
which is nice.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Drink.
No, it has to be Lucy that says it.
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, sorry.
She was being drugged, Abby. It was not adorable. Move on. Continue.
So they all hatch a plan. Do you want to say something?
I was just going to say he calls it the Committee for a Sound Dollar.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, I just thought that was interesting. You don't hear too much about it called that throughout. But it's weird. Kind of a little nod to how is actually like a commercial thing at the end, isn't it? Like they don't really care. They're just willing to back whoever makes them the most amount of money.
Yep. So a plan is hatched with the two spies and our friend Trio and Dylan Beck that Bert's veteran gala is coming up and Dylan Beck will speak there under the guise that he will take the money from the Committee of the Five and give like a that idea of installing a dictator speech, and that will lure out the secretive people of the Committee of the Five, and then they'll get arrested.
And then it's the best bit ever, the gala.
Yes, the gala is awesome. There's that song, is it a song about peanuts?
Yeah. And there's the backing singers, and they're the same backing singers
as
from the beginning, and they do that amazing song that he was so supportive of them. Like every bit of it that isn't awful is amazing.
Yeah,
that's the thing about this film.
Yeah. And I did think about that Dylan Beck guy. He's the perfect hero, isn't he? I don't know if this is the right time to say it, but I just really loved that he was on their side and he came through for them, and he didn't, because obviously you don't know which way he's going to go. Well, I didn't anyway. And I was just like, yes, he fits into that so well. I really liked him. Yeah.
And Robert De Niro does really well in it. I think he's really good in this position.
Definitely.
He tends to be quite like a big over the top character normally, I think, Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
And this, he's just like, could be any of us.
He's just earnest. He wants to get the job done. He's a bit of a straight man at some point.
Yeah.
Mike Myers says something like, he does like a bird reference, doesn't he? And he's like, the cuckoo is in the nest. And Dylan Beck's just like, cuckoo? What are you talking about? It was really funny.
Yeah, I think Robert De Niro can be quite a scary person, can't he? Like quite a scary actor.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want to, like he plays the bad guy really well. Like even in, is it Meet the Fockers? Is he the dad?
Yeah.
And like you imagine if he was your father-in-law, like that would be a scary thing.
Yeah.
And that film was amazing. So in this, I didn't know which way he was going to be, and then he was just amazing. So
Yeah,
definitely.
Some great acting about this movie.
Really good.
Everyone's really good, aren't they?
Yeah. And Taylor Swift's also in
it. Damn! You do not want to get into beef with Taylor Swift.
I've got nothing against Taylor Swift. Also, the gala, Bert decides to jack it in with his wife.
Because what does she say that's horrible to him? I can't remember. She says something horrible, and he says to her, "What a thing to say to anyone, let alone your beloved."
Oh.
Beloved. What a thing to say to anyone.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember
let
that
alone
now.
your beloved.
No, I can't remember what he said. She said.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, but that bit was great.
Yeah. And then he's like, what am I doing with her? And then he goes straight over to them.
His friends.
Oh.
And all three of them have a hug, don't they? And they're like, it's okay.
And they say, don't worry, you've got us. And he's like, thank goodness, because I'm running out of people, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's so nice.
Yeah, this is so heartwarming.
Oh,
Jinx.
That was perfect. Okay, cool. So at the gala, the plan goes mostly smoothly, although the hitman tries to shoot Dylan Beck. They see him up in the rafters, pointing the gun at him, and Harold and Valerie climb up, and they manage to tackle him, and then they push him down onto the stage, and Bert gets shot, but I think he's only shot in his like back brace.
Yeah.
And he's high on a lot of like
morphine
and stuff.
That's what I was going to say. Those eye drops.
Yeah.
The eye drops from Zurich.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, for a man like me, you either have to go to drink or drink. Whoa, these things work fast. That was so good.
Yeah. So has been shot, but he's still functioning pretty well because he's on a lot of medication. And they managed to tackle the hitman Dylan Beck does his speech, and then they arrest all of the Committee of the Five. And that goes pretty well.
Can we go back to a couple of things?
Yeah.
Because this film, for me, has got some just amazing lines in it. Like, it's literally, it's written like a, I don't know, like a beat style almost, or like a gonzo style, that they're just randomly just doing whatever feels right at that time. So many of the lines fit that. And they say the line, following the wrong God home. And I think that's the most amazing line. It's really powerful. And that even though you feel, like you said, like Dylan Beck is good, you kind of don't know. Like, he at that point could just be like, yay, I'm a dictator now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And so you really don't know if he's going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I felt like I missed a bit in the Carla bit, where the bit where you find out Tom was bad, because I don't know if it just moves too fast, but he's obviously there at the gala, and then he just introduced them to this room with the rest of the five, and then after a while you're like, oh, he's talking like he's part of it. And I think I just missed the bit where, like, the reveal where he went, I know
it's
there's
the walrus. You know, he gives him that walrus book.
Oh,
yeah.
That's like the bit where the reveal happens, I think. Because he's like, you take this, it's worth all this money, and you just allow this to happen.
But I think even before that, you're kind of like, he's talking a bit weird and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's the big bit where you're like, oh, it like really clicks in, because he gives him the book and he says, you can have this and use it for the veterans. And it's like £30,000 worth of stuff, because it's made from walrus that died naturally, he says, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But like, just let this whole dictatorship thing happen.
When they're in the room talking to the other three of the five, that's before that, isn't it? And do we know that those three are three of the five at that point?
The walrus thing is before that. Oh, there is a bit where they are in the room.
Right, introduced to
Yeah,
those. Yeah,
where
it was like, do we know that
introduced.
those three are the three of the five before that? And like, he's friendly with them.
Yeah,
It's it's got really confusing. And there was a guy, I don't know if it was a bartender or somebody, but there were 4 people stood in the room, and then he just moved out of the way, so it was just 3 of them left. I was like,
Yeah.
it's really weird to. You're constantly looking at the numbers to see how many people are there, and then there was just like a random extra who just like moved to the side.
Yeah. Yeah, that
did
was
not
weird.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, semi-deliberate,
Yeah.
felt like. And then there's that weird bit with the German shouting.
Oh yeah.
Which again, I was like, I have no idea what's happening, but I didn't know whether there's supposed to be a thing where you're kind of being Bert, and you're like, he's obviously completely off his face and has no idea what's happening, and I don't know whether you're supposed to feel a bit like everything gets suddenly much bigger and badder, and you don't really 100% get it, and then it's just like, don't worry about that bit.
Yeah.
These people are bad, these people are good. It's fine. That's all you needed to know in the end.
Yeah, I was confused about the Germans that are shouting. There's just a hall celebrating American veterans, and somehow there's like a group of like 10 German soldiers, and they're heckling him.
Who lets German soldiers into a veteran gala?
And also, why would they want to be there? Like, they're just going to heckle, very likely get arrested or something. Like, what's the point for them?
Well, I guess it was a bit of a weird situation politically. The leaders were closely aligned, so even though, you wouldn't expect to see Germans coming in and shouting at US veterans during that time, there was maybe like a different shift of stuff than there has been.
Yeah.
Cool. So the Committee of the Five are arrested, but I think they don't actually stay in prison very long, I think, through various loopholes and that kind of thing. And they get out and they smear Dylan Beck in the press, and then he essentially just retires. The film is kind of wrapped up pretty quickly here, but it's got like a sentimental ending where I think due to the fallout, Valerie and Harold can't stay in the US.
Yeah, they're not safe there.
Yeah, they're not safe. So
Well, and also they couldn't be together. Like, there was still segregation at that point in the US.
Was that a factor?
It was
as well?
1950, whatever it was, that the US was unsegregated. So they went somewhere where they could actually live together. You couldn't marry somebody who was not of the same race.
And that place is Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Didn't they say they're not going to Amsterdam?
Did they?
No, I think they made it very clear. But they said we're going somewhere. And they said no, you won't be going to Amsterdam. They said you're going somewhere very nice, but it's not Amsterdam.
Oh,
He
okay.
says,
Didn't even
Just
hear that.
one place they are not going.
He says it's too hot. There'll be the SS will turn up at your door if you go to Amsterdam.
But sadly, Bert decides to stay in the US, and he's gonna give his life a go there, and I guess try and build a relationship with Irma, which is nice.
Correct.
Yes.
But you know,
It's the
the
best.
friends aren't together, which is sad. And yeah, so it's got like a bittersweet ending, but it's good. I think it's like a feel-good ending anyway.
Surely they can be together then.
She says she's Portuguese, remember, at the start.
Oh, she does. She explains that
Do you
very
remember when
clearly.
there's a nurse
I see.
kicking out
Harold
and Chris Rock's character?
Yeah. Oh, I see.
And she says, "I'm from Portugal," or "I'm Portuguese."
No, the nurse says she can say she's from Portuguese. It's different. And then he says something like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And she's like,
I overlooked
just
that.
don't
I
tell
thought it
me.
was just medical professionals only. I thought it was like you don't need to be here to get out of this room.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
the
that's
medical
weird.
license.
Only Portuguese means you can do this. But okay, that makes way more
Yeah, I
sense
think
now.
it's a race thing.
Yeah.
So that's that. That's the film.
That was great.
Yeah.
I think my favourite thing is the cast. There was just it was so varied. There was so many faces, and everyone was so good.
Everyone is brilliant.
Yeah, and John David Washington was amazing as well. Really good.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realise, and this is a recurring theme, it is the same guy from The Creator.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I always think that's not being me being an idiot. That is testament to their acting.
Yeah.
He's literally such a different character in that movie, isn't he?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I was totally sold on both characters. Really good.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a very varied cast.
Yeah.
Like the main three, they're quite different characters and actors, that kind of thing. But also Chris Rock is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's really good in it.
Yeah, really
Mike
good.
Myers.
Timothy
is in
Oliphant.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pops up.
It's like, and Robert De Niro, who's like a real classic actor,
Yeah.
is in there.
Yeah.
It's just got like a really varied cast, and they're all great, and they all like bounce off each other. Like they've all got a really good chemistry when they're all doing stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had two things. One is that obviously they say that this story is mostly true at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Have you fact checked that?
I have fact checked that.
And
there was, I can't remember whether it was.
Amsterdam is a real place.
It is.
oh, fuck you.
It is.
End of fact
And
check.
Christian Bale does not live there. So that also checks out.
Are you 100% sure of that?
No. I immediately was like, I don't know if he lives there or not. It's just a
There was
presumption.
the clip at the end, wasn't there, of the actual address by
Yeah.
the real
Yeah.
Dylan Beck.
Yeah. Which was
Yes.
amazing
Yeah.
and done very well.
Yeah. So yeah, there were bits of it that was true, but I think by saying that, they could make it as loose. Like none of those characters were real.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay, isn't it? It doesn't matter. It just, and the whole thing about there being like a dictatorship built by American businesses, that is the bit that was real, which is weird and ridiculous. Yeah.
What did you think about Margot Robbie's accent? Because I found it very confusing.
I don't even notice actually. What was it?
I felt like it fluctuated a bit.
It did, yeah, because I was like, oh, she's trying to be English. And then I was like, oh, no, she's blatantly not English. And
I've got a fact!
Because sometimes she sounds French.
Okay, let's say the fact, Ab.
I've got
alert.
fact.
Fact alert.
So, I feel like you're saying that as a warning for people to like skip forward a little bit. So, I went down a massive rabbit hole on this the other day.
Down a massive, really wide hole. It probably wasn't a rabbit hole then, was it? It's probably like a badger's hole.
Wider.
Oh, you've gone bigger, yeah.
A rhino's hole.
Not much difference.
I think it went up a rhino's.
Like that scene in Ace Ventura, where he comes out of a massive rhino's hole. Is that what happened to you? Is that what you're saying? Are you here for support rather than fact?
You were inside a surveillance rhino and you couldn't use the hatch on the side,
You get
so
too
you had
hard.
to come. You came down the rhino's hole.
Did you tease your finger out like Ace Ventura?
You stretched it and then you.
A small family vampire giraffe in a safari.
Yeah. This is exactly what happened.
This is exactly why we should be recording.
Oh my god.
Oh, my
Abby.
thing's super boring.
We will get to your facts. We will. We want to know.
Sing.
Yeah. Okay.
So you went down a massive rabbit hole.
Listen, I went down a massive rabbit hole about a mid-Atlantic accent.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And it's an accent that was specifically taught in American boarding schools,
Oh.
with the selling point being that no American spoke it naturally. And it's supposed to sound essentially like an English accent, but not. It's like an American version of an English accent. And then I went down the rabbit hole of who has got this accent, and are there people you think of who you're like, that's a weird accent, who actually is mid-Atlantic.
Oh.
Like
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer.
Oh, okay.
And the guy with the sauce.
What?
Who's the guy with the sauce?
The guy with the sauce.
Lloyd Grossman.
Lloyd Grossman.
Oh god.
Oh.
Lloyd Grossman's sauce.
Lloyd
Mid-Atlantic.
Have you ever gone through
Surely-
the keyhole?
Isn't
Yeah.
I would have just thought he was very British.
No, he's from Boston.
Yeah, he's actually American.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
He actually has dual citizenship. I went down another rabbit hole,
okay,
and I know a lot about
very
Kelsey
hard.
Grammer as well.
Oh my god.
But
Oh yes,
Um,
okay. Yeah, I can
yeah.
see that now you say that.
so,
yeah.
and she has a really clear one, I think, doesn't she? Where you're like, okay, I can't quite spot, is that English? Is it American?
Yeah.
But it's
And
not.
it's in between, mid-Atlantic.
No, it's not though. Because she's Australian.
Well, she's Australian, but in this film,
She's
the
an
one that
accent.
she's trying to put on is
Oh.
like a posh person's American accent from 1933. And then basically, after the war, it essentially entirely dropped off. There's just odd pockets where if you're either are really rich or are trying to look really rich, then you have kept that accent.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's quite
Thank
interesting.
you. Quite interesting. That's very interesting, Lucy says.
So now we come to the part of the podcast where we allocate a score to the film. As usual, we are looking at 3 categories for our scoring: enjoyability, shareability, and masterpiece ability. And each of the lads will give a score out of 5, meaning a total out of 60. So let's start with enjoyability. Luce, what did you go for?
4.
Ab, what did you go for?
4.5.
Dan, what did you go for?
5.
Oh!
I went for a 3.
Oh! You did not like that film, Sam.
3's a good score. Yeah.
Sam, why did it lose a 2?
For me, I really liked the cast. I just felt like it could have peaked higher. The first 15-20 minutes for me were much better than some of the rest of the film, and I got a little bit disinterested in the middle.
Okay.
That's fair.
Dan, 5.
Yeah, I think this is the exact kind of film I really like. Obviously, I chose this film, but I like it when there's, really good characters. There's an unusual story. I mean, this one's based on a real life event, so that has that kind of aspect to it as well. It has everything that I like in a film, pretty much.
Yeah.
So the next category is shareability. Luce.
A 3.
Dan.
A 3.
Ab.
Oh, I'm a 4.5.
Ooh.
I was a 2 for shareability.
Oh! We move in different circles. This is what's happening here.
Ab, 4.5.
An adorable historical drama with some of the best characters ever.
Yeah.
Like, there's hardly any people I know that don't want to watch that. And this week I've recommended it to 5 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's the second time I've watched it, so I can only imagine that I did that last time too.
Yeah. Sam?
I went lower because I think the only people that I would recommend that film to are sat around this table.
Oh,
And I can't
Yeah,
think of
that's
anyone else that I know would like that film.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I think because it's got different elements to it. Sam, your parents would probably like the historical parts, but then not the adorable, fun parts. Whereas there'd be some other people that love like me, that like the adorable fun parts and is less interested in the historical parts. Although I did love like the story and the twist at the end and things, like the way it all played out. So yeah, I would recommend it in that it's a good film, and I would say if you just want a good film to watch, that is a good one to go for, but it wouldn't be at the top of my list. So middle of the road, really.
And Dan, you're a 3 for shareability but a 5 for enjoyability.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this is a film that I absolutely love, but I think, like you said, there's probably I feel like there's probably just a limited audience of people I would recommend this to. And I have recommended it to people, but it's probably less so than other films, I suppose.
Cool. And the last category is masterpiece ability. Loose.
3.5, Sam. 3.5.
4.
Dan.
3.5.
I went for a 3.5 also.
Oh.
Ab, you went highest at 4. Why did you
did.
get an extra half point from you?
I just thought, like I say, it was a really interesting film. It was like essentially a beat piece of writing. Like it just flows through. You kind of don't know what's happening, and they're just doing their own thing, and that's reflected in the way that it's shot. The actors are great. It's like really, what's the word? It's really beautiful with how it's the colour schemes and stuff. I just thought it was a really like attractive film to watch.
Yeah,
And
I
it was
agree.
artily done.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I gave it 3.5 for masterpiece ability. I mean, I love it and it's really enjoyable. I suppose it's not a super spectacular film in every aspect of its like visual and everything makeup. And I think the other thing is, I hadn't noticed it until you just said it, Sam. There is a few bits that are just a bit more ambiguous that probably could have been done a bit better, like the unveiling of Tom Vose as part of the Committee of the Five, and a few other question marks you have around some ambiguous points. But
it's probably more realistic for it, but yeah, it's just harder to follow the plot.
Yeah. But no, I love that film.
Yeah, that's great. I think that my favourite thing about the movie was the cast, and I think maybe if it had a different cast, it wouldn't be as good.
Mm-hmm.
But I really did like the story as well, the way that it played out. You know, it did keep you guessing as to what was happening, and I liked the story as a whole. But I just wonder whether it would work as well if it didn't have those people doing those things. Like everyone worked so well together, and that gave it's 3.5 for me. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really liked the cast was great. The story, I really liked kind of the vibe they were going for. It looked really like cool.
Yeah.
It was. I liked the mix of like the cape about the history, but I think just I could have done with a bit more stuff going on there, a bit more energy in the middle. But yeah, really good film.
You like an exciting movie that keeps you
I do.
watching.
He's got a short attention span.
That's what I want. So that brings our total score for Amsterdam to 43.5 out of 60.
Ooh, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how that sits on the league table.
It would.
It would.
Yeah.
If only somebody had done it.
Well, look out for the leader score soon on our social media.
Dan, that was a great choice. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, it was a
Loved
very
it.
Dan movie. I liked it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I actually want to go and watch it again now. I found this with a few films. We discuss it and I'm like, I want to go and watch it again, knowing what we've all discussed in it, and especially this film because I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
There's bits even that I missed that you guys have picked up on. Yeah. Thank you everyone.
Thank you for coming along to this week's Lads Film Thing and joining us where we discussed Amsterdam.
We'd also love to know what you thought about it as well. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Let us know on our Twitter or Instagram. Find the details in the description.
And join us next week where we will be watching and discussing Abby's film. Ab, what is it?
Well, I've chosen Young Frankenstein, the 1974 comedy horror film directed by Mel Brooks and starring the amazing Gene Wilder and Marty Feldman.
Yes.
94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Just
Really?
saying.
Ooh,
Whoa,
we'll find
that's
out
gonna be
6%.
I'm sure you will. So, if you enjoyed listening to our podcast, please leave us a rating and review.
And don't forget, share with your own lads.
And share it with everyone. We're not picky.
But maybe not your fascist brothers. Not for Amsterdam anyway.
So grab your popcorn.
Round up your lads.
Get watching.
And join us next week.
Bye.
Evening, Luce. This is for like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, morning. Go to bed. What are you doing?
With your
Make me a sandwich.
You know you're asleep. You're totally asleep.
Yeah, you're
You've been
asleep
for
In the
hours.
morning.
We don't have any bread.
You're not involved in this.
Make you a ham thin, okay?
I'm thin. That sounds like a euphemism.
Totally is a
The
euphemism.
worst euphemism I've ever heard in my life. No one wants that.
I'm thin in the morning. Is there anything better?
Oh, God.
What a way to start the day. A ham thin.